Great. Well, welcome back to the Downballot Download. I am so excited to be here with Congressman Lou Correa. Thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you for having us, and welcome to the Hood. I grew up here in Anaheim, California, the good old days in the 1960s. So having the Democratic Party here, having you being active is very special for all of us.
Well, we're glad to be here, and I'm glad to talk to you today and kind of get a little bit of background about how you landed in this moment, which is such a critical time in our country, but also, how you got here as somebody just, from the neighborhood.
Thank you. I'm a typical American, okay? I've always been a person who wants to work hard, dreaming about the American dream, dreaming about being middle class. I came here poor, rented, lived in apartments all our lives. And then one day we got the opportunity to actually buy a house. That was 40 years ago. And we started moving up to middle class in America. And I think to those days, I think about what working people in this country, men and women, are looking for. Democratic Party, we're about working families, working individuals. What do we want? We want a good paying job, something that enables you to survive, to move up. We want to make sure we send our kids to a good school for education, healthcare, the ability to own a house. So many young people today don't think they can buy a house. And also, of course, we want safe streets. We want to make sure that our seniors can walk in the evenings in our neighborhoods and not fear for their lives. And I think most Americans, that's what we want. And when things are going wrong in our neighborhoods, in our streets, in our cities, that's when people begin to question what's going on around them. And that's what you have today. People are asking what went wrong in America. And you ask where I'm at, how I got here. It's really because a couple of decades ago, I found that things were not going right in this country, in the state, in my area. And that's when I decided to get into politics. Not because I thought I could do this, not because I thought it would be fun, but because you reach a moment in your life when you say, I got to be part of the solution. I can't just sit and watch things happen. Here I am.
Well, also, the decisions that you make and the way that you take votes and how you advocate for the community affects your family and the families around you. I'm a mom. I have twin girls. I know you have children, also adult children. So how has your family, been a part of your journey?
Your family has to be part of that journey. Your community, your upbringing, the whole totality of your life is who you are when you're in Congress, who you are as an elected official. I believe in God, community, family, and then party. You go to Congress to vote your district, to represent your community. That's number one. So many of the votes I take in Congress, I look at what's going on back home. How can I make life a little bit better for my community, for the working families? And then I decide how to vote. I don't really look at party affiliation a lot because back home, both Democrats, Republicans declined to state, elected me to represent all of them.
For sure. And I think you mentioned that this American dream and being able to own a home and to be able to succeed is something that feels really out of reach for some young Americans.
The other day I was in my office and I asked my staff a question, which is, how many of you here believe that you will someday own a house? Nobody raised their hand. And that to me is a damning testament as to where this country is. Today in Congress, I'm a member of what's called the Real Estate Caucus, Democrats and Republicans trying to figure out what went wrong. Why is it that we can't build enough houses? In California, why is it so expensive to build a house? Why is it we can't build a house? Why is it in California you can't build anything? And those are the hard questions we have to ask ourselves because people out on Main Street are asking us, fix the problem.
Right. You're charged with fixing the problem. And it's not just a matter of NIMBYs, it's a matter of laws, things in place that are hurdles to being able to build and meet the needs. So,
Look, we're all environmentalists. I grew up in the 60s when you couldn't go outside and play in the summer because your lungs would start hurting.
mm,
But we're also human beings that are looking to survive in this state. You have to come up with a balance. Environmental laws, jobs for working families. And we have to come up with solutions, and we can. That's what we're paid to do. And that's what we are doing right now in the Real Estate Caucus in Congress. We're hoping to work federal, state, local, regulatory, all of the above to figure out how to streamline the process. We want to look at the environmental issues. We want to look at the regulatory issues because they're there for a purpose. Very important purpose, but we don't want it to wait 10, 20 years to get to the solution. Can we figure out how to go through the court system, through judicial system, adjudicate all of these issues in 2 or 3 years? We can do it. We just have to have the will.
yeah. And people move to California with that dream, right? But we see also that we've got a lot of homelessness as well in this state, and housing has to be a piece of fixing that.
Housing is a big piece of it. The other issue when it comes to homelessness, I think, is mental health. Okay. I live next to the Santa Ana River. And I remember seeing this woman at night screaming at the moon. And I thought to myself, this homeless woman out here, what kind of life does she have at night? What happens to her? And why can't we do anything about that? The resources are there. We've got to do something to fix the system. I don't accept the fact or the argument that it's a person who wants to be homeless. I think it's mental illness, self-medication with drugs or alcohol. And so we've got to come back to fixing this. Right now in Congress, I'm chair of another caucus. It's called the Psychedelic Caucus.
Okay, tell us about it.
We're looking at psychedelic drugs that are illegal, LSD, ibogaine, some of these other drugs is a cure for mental illness. Democrats and Republicans, again in Congress, making these drugs legal to cure mental patients. A couple of members of Congress have actually been cured, veterans of PTSD with ibogaine. We can use that for the population as well. So we've got to think out of the box on how to cure people with mental illness. This treatment, 80% success. Not therapy, but an actual cure. It's illegal in the U.S. So people have to go to Mexico or Costa Rica to get cured. Veterans are paying $5,000 to $10,000 per treatment. And we don't make it legal in the U.S. And the sad part is, right now, people in the U.S. are self-medicating.
Absolutely.
And these are very dangerous drugs. You have to have a regiment. You have to have those guardrails of trained therapists to lead you through the process. And for us to say it's illegal, you can't touch it, is putting our head in a hole in the ground.
And you can't test it and share the research unless it's legal.
Correct.
In this context. So we don't move any progress toward solving these mental health crises.
70 years of the war on drugs, which has not been too successful. Some of the drugs that actually can help you, we've prohibited them, made them illegal. We got to come back and re-examine what we've done and how to fix things.
And I think it's so interesting that you've got a bipartisan committee doing this because I think regular people understand. Average Americans understand we want to solve these issues. It's not a partisan issue. It's about access to the right treatment.
Correct. And it's good that it's bipartisan. A lot of the members of Congress, veterans that have gotten treated PTSD with psychedelics are Republicans.
That's fascinating. It really is.
We're hoping to make psychedelics legal in the next few months, if not by year end, early next year, and have these therapies available for the average American.
What's great about this is people think that Congress is unable to accomplish anything because of the extreme partisanship, but here you guys are
Well, let me tell
moving
you.
this
Let me
forward.
tell you, it's boring. CNN, Fox is not going to run a story about us fixing problems. They want to run a story about us fighting each other. They want to run a story about us fist fighting on the floor. That's what sells. Lou and Jack Bergman coming up with a solution. That's boring.
Well, I think it's interesting, and I think people who will benefit from the treatment appreciate that a lot. And I think I want to thank you for your many years of rolling your sleeves up and just getting work done for Orange County residents, because without that, it just ends up being sound bites. So, what is it like being in Congress? And I heard that you work out a lot and may sometimes stay in your office.
Congress is the greatest job in the world. Congress, you're working at the center of power, the world, center of strong, big decisions that will affect hardworking Americans. Same time, it's a 24-hour day job. For a while there, I lived in my office, and it's interesting because I sleep very little. If I get 5 hours, 4 hours in, I'm doing well. But it's not because I only want to sleep 4, but it's a lot of work. It's got to get done. And most of us feel like instead of driving home, instead of walking home, just take a 4-hour nap. In my situation, I would take a 4-hour nap, get up, go downstairs to the gym, work out, shower, back to work. Right now, I live in a boarding house, rent a little room with 12 other members of Congress.
Wow.
5 Democrats, 5 Republicans, and 3 Republican senators. And we have dinner once a week. We talk about our families, we talk about our issues, and we talk public policy. And I say this to you because most people, if you watch CNN or Fox, think that we're always like dogs and cats. But I have to tell people, bring down the stress, relax, and know that there's a lot of us, the vast majority, Senate, Congress, are working every day for the benefit of America. I'm of the belief that as an elected, your job is to serve the people. And one day, when I'm no longer elected, I'm going to come back and live in my neighborhood as an average citizen. And I want people to continue to be my friends. Don't look at me as a Democrat. Don't look at me as a member of Congress, but somebody who had the honor, the privilege of serving in Congress. I mean, the greatness of this country, a kid who couldn't speak English, grew up on the wrong side of the railroad tracks, overcrowded conditions, now in Congress. I'm blessed to live in this country, and I want to keep this country as a land of opportunity for all. But that means we got to keep the American dream alive.
Well, let's talk about that, because members of your community lots of people in this country are scared, right? We have these ICE raids, we have threats to immigrants, and it's a huge elephant in the room. It's what we have to talk about as Democrats to stand up against this. So tell me what's going on from your
I have
perspective.
to take a deep breath here because this is a very painful chapter in our history. President of the United States controls Congress, controls the Senate, has a lot of influence in the Supreme Court. He is implementing an agenda that I believe is counterproductive to this country. Let me give you an example. I'm on a debate on the floor of Congress. I'm debating on the floor of Congress with my Republican friends. And the issue is federal aid to California. Their argument is, California, you can't have these federal dollars and be a sanctuary state too. Their argument is, you cannot have your cake and eat it too. Either you follow federal law or no federal dollars. Bad dog, no biscuit. I get up on the floor and I say to my learned colleagues from such and such state, let us not forget the facts. California, fourth largest economy in the world. California gives the feds almost $100 billion more per year taxes than we get back. I'd like to ask them, who's really here on welfare? Is it California or the federal government? I say, look, guys, you like our tax dollars, but the miracle Golden State has workers that are documented and undocumented. We're the biggest manufacturer in the United States, biggest ag state in the union, high-tech, biotech, venture capital, undocumented immigrants, visa holders from Asia, India, China, Europe. This is who we are. Now, Mr. President, you come in and you tell us that we cannot manage our economy? I tell them, I conclude my arguments by saying, I'll cut you a deal. Here's my deal. We won't ask for any federal dollars, and you don't take any federal dollars from California. We got a deal. We're $100 billion ahead if that would happen. So I don't understand quite what's going on. The president promised to deport criminals. I'm with him on that. If you're a criminal, you're out of here. Fact is, 70% of the people that are apprehended, no criminal record. A lot of those that are so-called criminals, minor infractions. It's hurting our economy. It's hurting our tax base. What's the point? What's the point? And it hurts me because I get phone calls every day from families whose breadwinner is about to get deported, whose child got apprehended. And then, of course, the irony of it all, I get American citizens that are being arrested. Don't talk about undocumented. Don't talk about green card holders. Talk about American-born citizens that are being arrested, held for 5 days, held for hours, till they prove they're American citizens. So where are we going now? Does everybody now have to carry their passport? Fourth Amendment is no longer valid now. So you can stop somebody on the basis of what they look like, basis of their skin color, without any probable cause. That is what the Supreme Court has ruled. I'm beyond shocked at what's going on right now. And that's why this thing is so important, Prop 50. President knows he's probably going to lose control of Congress in the midterms. So he's doing everything he can to change the rules of the road. Texas. California's got to respond. We didn't draw first blood. We didn't start this fight. It's coming to us. We have to respond. But we bring outgunned, outspent. We got to do it the old-fashioned way. One vote at a time, one day at a time, one house at a time.
Well, here at the Democratic Party, we are all in on Prop 50. This morning we were walking, and thank you for leading us. But what do we say to Democrats who said, well, I liked the idea of this voter districting committee, and I don't want to wait for, it to happen again. This isn't fair. I mean, I don't see an alternative. We need to fight Trump this way.
I agree with those Democrats. I was one of the architects of that Citizens Redistricting Commission. I pushed hard for that. I pushed for open primaries so we wouldn't look at D versus R, but just the issues. Problem is, that's not what we have in front of us. We have a president that's going throughout this country, state by state, changing the lines, redistricting to keep his power. We have no choice but to respond. It's not fire with fire, but it's responding with common sense, redistricting in California for the next election. And then the next time we have redistricting, we're back to the Citizens Commission. We have no choice. We didn't start this fight. We've got to respond to it.
What's the difference between what California has done and what Texas has done?
Well, let's start out by the difference between Texas and California. We did the Redistricting Citizens Commission that drew the lines. not by electeds, but by citizens. We did the honorable thing, the right thing. Take the power from the politicians. Texas has always given the power to the politicians. What did the president do? He went to Texas and said, change these maps for my preference. Change these maps so I, President Trump, can benefit by keeping control of Congress. California, the governor could not just do that in California. We have to go to the people and say, people of California, please change these maps and approve it with a vote. And Prop 50 is about telling people, approve the changes to these maps so that we can compete with Texas. We are giving power to the people. We're asking people permission. Texas just did it on their own. Politicians did it on their own in Texas.
So we've got this vote coming up. And my understanding is that if Democrats do come out and MPPs and any voter come out and vote yes on it, this is going to change the landscape for 2026.
Little history. Why are we in this boat? Why are we in this situation? President controlling Congress, Senate, and very influential in the Supreme Court. This last November, President won by maybe 2 million votes. 7 million people did not show up to vote in November. 7 million people stayed home. We did this to ourselves. We failed to show up to vote. We need to show up to vote, yes, on 50. Our destiny, our future, the future of our children is in our own hands. I ask people, please show up to vote, yes, on 50.
Are folks talking about our Prop 50 vote in Congress? Is this a conversation that comes up with any of your colleagues from other states? And are they looking at what they may have to do in their state next?
All the time. Prop 50 is just one of many movements across the country, state by state, to change the lines. Many states with as little as 1 or 2 congressional seats are also redrawing the lines, which is, it's this snowball that started in Texas with the president and the Republicans redrawing the lines is now spread like a virus throughout the country. What we want to do in California is counter that virus with good policy.
So I have to ask you about what's going on right now when we're in a shutdown. We've got government employees who are not getting paid. They're furloughed. They're waiting to see what happens. And well, it almost seems like we have shutdowns every year. This one feels a little different.
This one feels a little different because the stakes are really high. I believe Republicans have the power to stop the shutdown. Democrats are asking for one very simple thing. One simple thing, protect the Affordable Care Act. It's that health care that we spread throughout the country under President Obama. It's not a public, it's a private insurance program that is funded partly with federal dollars. This is our way of rolling out health care for Americans. For Americans. We're talking about Americans. Health care for Americans. The problem is people aren't seeing it because it'll kick in January. Undocumented by federal law have never gotten federal health care. Refugees, asylum seekers that are here legally under that category, their ability to tap into this program was taken away with a big, beautiful bill that was passed a few weeks ago. So I want people to understand, Americans, we Democrats in Congress are fighting for you. Healthcare for American citizens is the issue right now.
And so what happens next? Is it a matter of who blinks? I mean, because I don't think Democrats are going to blink on this.
This is a fight we have to have. This is not about special privileges, a special, side deal. This is about good public policy for all Americans. And I believe most Americans would agree with us. keep the Affordable Care Act. Okay. Remember, there's also money there that would go to nursing homes that is going to be cut. So we're the wealthiest country in the world, the most powerful country in the world. We have the best fighter jets, the best aircraft carriers. But part of that strength is also having a healthy America, having a healthy community, healthy population. And that's the Affordable Care Act is about, taking care of our population.
You have been so effective in communicating with voters. And one thing that we hear at the Democratic Party is, what is our message? How do we better cut through the noise and communicate to voters so that they understand we stand for working people, we want to get things done for Americans? So what do you suggest in terms of messaging? What's the winning message?
Prop 50, the Democratic Party, control of Congress, protecting wages for American men and women, for American workers, protecting health care. This is what we're fighting for today. Protecting, bringing back the American dream of owning a house. That's what the Democratic Party is fighting for now. A balance, common sense solutions, not runaway government.
And I think we do that in action, but sometimes it's hard for us to say all those concise things, right? Because Democrats, we care about so many aspects of Americans' lives, right? We have strong principles held in so many areas. So we keep getting people saying, I just want a soundbite. I just want a soundbite. Is there a soundbite or is it everything? Do we have to touch everything?
Americans know. Americans know. The Democratic Party is here to represent, to protect the working men and women of America. We stand for a lot of other things. Number one priority is your job, your home, your community, your safety, and the safety of our schools. We are the Democratic Party.
What's going on with the Epstein files?
The Epstein files. Epstein, a person who essentially sold young men and women, underage men and women, to people of power and money for decades. The Epstein files contain the names of all those individuals that paid money, that bought humans for sex, for slaves. Today, the issue in Congress is we want those files released with all those names. The president, when he was running for president in November, promised to release those files. Nothing yet. Epstein files today in Congress. Speaker won't let it up for a vote in terms of releasing the files. So what we've done in Congress, we have filed, not I, but members of Congress, what's called a discharge petition. It takes 218 signatures. Once on that petition means that issue has to come up for a vote in front of Congress. And if the votes are yes, the files have to be released. Right now, we have 217 signatures. We're one short. 4 Republicans, the rest Democrats have signed on. The 218th is a young lady that just got elected to Congress in New Mexico, Ms. Grijalva. Apparently, they're not swearing her in. Soon as she's sworn in, she can sign. Discharge will be on the floor for a vote.
How
But
long
I believe,
can they hold this up?
well, we're supposed to be back voting this week, coming week. They canceled votes. And I believe it's because they don't want her to come in, having her swear her in. She signs, because this thing, I believe, will be a major scandal. Not for Republicans, not for Democrats, but for Republican, Democrats, and other individuals. There's a lot of power players in this country, around the world, that paid for these young ladies. And we have to make sure that they're all brought to justice. All these victims have been scarred for life. These young ladies who are lured, these young boys who are lured into these prostitution situations. We have to send a message to them and any future Epstein that we will come after you. But it starts with full transparency. And that full transparency is that Epstein files, each and every one of them, be released to the public.
Well, couldn't be more obvious when the most powerful people are blocking the information coming out. So Do we know how long they can hold out from swearing her in and getting this moving forward so the public can know the truth?
As I was walking into this interview, I saw a notice that we will have session in about a week. We will have votes in about a week.
Wow.
Well, that means that that'll be the day Congresswoman-elect Grijalva will be sworn in, and that'll be the day that she will sign the petition. Now, I suspect that they're holding off bringing this up as an issue until there's a bigger issue around the world. So the news will be that other issue, and this issue gets buried.
There's no way to hold up the vote then once she signs the
Well,
petition.
I'm
is
sure they're
there?
going to figure out how to do it, but right is on our side. Truth is on our side. And I believe the American public will not stand for these shenanigans.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for standing up for the victims.
Absolutely. I've done a lot of work on the area of sexual predators, DNA, statute of limitations on sex crimes. And I will tell you, all the victims of sex crimes, they are scarred for life. It is something they never forget. And it is something that haunts them, changes them, tortures them. So for us to even think of tolerating things, people like whose names are in Epstein files, is absolutely unbelievable.
So I'll ask you, do you have a message of hope for Americans and for Orange County residents?
The challenges are here for this country, no doubt. Stop and remember, this is the greatest country in the world. This is a democracy that's still alive and thriving. This is a place where you can still vote and your vote actually makes a difference. This is a place where a kid from the hood can actually get to Congress. Nowhere else in the world do you have this situation. Country we're fighting for, it's still worth fighting for this country. Let's keep our system alive. Let's keep working forward. And I would say the vast majority of Congress members agree with me, both these and ours. A lot of hope, a lot of work to do. Let's get to it.
Well, thank you for bringing your hope to us.
Thank you.
And it's such an honor to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you for your
Congressman
time and
Correa.
interest.
Thank you.